The gaming industry is up in flames right now, and every single project that's being released is being highly scrutinized by the very people who would purchase them. And now Gearbox is attempting to hide their Lynn Joyce interview after it's blown up. And if you don't know who she is the narrative writer who's ruined Homeworld 3. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, of course, every game that's releasing is being scrutinized right now. People do not want to support projects that have narrative consultation companies like Black Girl Gamers and Sweet Baby Inc. behind them, and of course, especially when it comes to highly anticipated games, people are very specific about what they want in their titles, and now we have a narrative writer's interview that has been blowing up. This is a Fandom Pulse article. It says, desperate to hide the heavy-handed DEI treatment Gearbox gave to their last video game in the Homeworld franchise, Gearbox not only pulled the interview with a rabid leftist and managing director of narrative properties at Gearbox, Lynn Joyce, from the Homeworld webpage, but now moderators on the game's official boards are also banning anyone who criticizes the story or merely asks whether Sweet Baby Inc. or any DEI narrative writers were involved in Homeworld 3. Now, of course, as a customer, I should be able to ask questions and receive answers as quickly and clearly as possible, but that really is not happening, especially in the video game industry. We have developers like this who believe they are always right, the customer is always wrong, and they are proud of the product that they're creating. And obviously, a part of a project like this is the developers being confident, because if they're not confident, you can tell when their work is sloppy. But at the same time, they need to be creating something that we are going to enjoy as customers, because they're ultimately not creating a game for themselves. Now, because they deleted this interview, you can only find it through Web Archive, but basically it's an entire article where she's patting herself on the back, and yeah, I'm sure she didn't have any input with the questions, but they're very specifically worded. They're all about her. It's clearly that they just wanted to prop up one of the women that are on this team, and she just talks about how, you know, she views the industry and what got her interested in narrative design and, you know, themes within the franchise that she treasures more than others. I mean, it's just a self-congratulatory article, and it's not something that I and most of the players want to read. She's being very vague about the game itself. Honestly, she doesn't even like to talk about the game and the world itself, it really seems, and overall, it's just a cringe fest, and a lot of people were not happy with this, and they wanted to voice how unhappy they were on things like the, of course, Homeworld subreddit, and a lot of threads ended up getting deleted, and as the article says, now, of course, we're facing an entirely different situation where it's not like they just wanted to try to hide this article away. No, no, no. They want to silence people who are criticizing it. Of course, gamers have sent people like Cabrutus proof, and the reason for the ban on the community hub is inciting harassment of specific persons. When you do an interview on a web page, people are allowed to criticize your takes, whether they're good or they're bad, and people are allowed to criticize your character. If you act a certain way, people are allowed to say on social media, hey, I think she's completely full of herself. That is not harassment, and we have gotten to a point where all criticism is viewed as harassment by these people, and it just is ridiculous. I mean, we have gotten to the point where these people will do anything to silence discussions that they don't want you to have. As you can see, it says you have been banned from the Homeworld 3 community hub. Of course, thanks for letting me know. I should remove it from my wish list. I don't really feel like paying to watch someone desecrate yet another beloved franchise, and the ban reason is inciting harassment of specific persons. Additionally, off-topic and inflammatory conversation that contains racist or discriminatory content. And we had people like Cabrutus looking into the game, and although there's no evidence of like Sweet Baby Inc.'s involvement with this game, there are DEI narrative writers and influences is involved, and this is all that people really care about at the end of the day. Of course, Gamergate 2 started because of narrative consultation companies, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. The backlash behind these companies is not going to stop anytime soon unless companies decide to completely do away with the Sweet Baby Inks and the Black Girl Gamers and the Gamers X. It's not going to stop, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. And if you don't know, Homeworld is currently in the claws of Embracer. Gearbox had acquired the Homeworld franchise, and then of course Embracer purchased Gearbox. So now it's in the claws of this company that is known for forcing, narrative consultation companies onto developers and allowing, projects to basically be riddled with narratives and the message. Of course, one of the most notable examples is the Saints Row reboot. We've heard a slew of different information that maybe it was more Deep Silver, maybe it was more Embracer, we don't know at the end of the day, but we do know that the Saints Row reboot was a complete woke nightmare, and yes, they ended up shutting Volition down, a company that had been around for 30 years because it was such a massive failure, and companies need to learn that that's not going to change, that people are going to have that same reaction to any product that has a narrative team behind it. Of course, as if having the rabid leftist Lynn Joyce in charge of Gearbox's Homeworld 3 narrative writing wasn't enough, it appears from the Homeworld 3 credits that apart from Lynn Joyce, at least 2 DEI groups were involved in Gearbox's Homeworld 3. Ding ding ding, we have another loser, ladies and gentlemen. One is the Academic Center for Digital Media, who advocates for justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in games. They just had to add something extra and be unique, so they added justice in. The other is a Canadian-based community group called Diversity in Games, who, according to their website, care about curating a safe space for marginalized members of the games industry. With the focus on inclusivity, we know there are many incredible people from all backgrounds and experiences making an impact on the Vancouver development community, and we're inspired to help make sure that trend continues. So when I instantly hear a narrative consultation company out of Canada, I and many other people think Sweet Baby Inc., and even though we do not have a direct tie to them with this, it seems like they are hiring people that are just as bad to work on this game. Of course, inclusivity and diversity are generally good things, but unfortunately in entertainment we are seeing forced narratives, forced inclusivity, which is what people want to steer clear from. If you do something naturally and it simply was the, best casting or the best character decision, and you thought that it could add a lot to the story, that's one thing. But of course, when they're constantly patting themselves on the back going, looky, looky, we can raise our ESG score with this, people are instantly going to see through the bullshit. And of course, Archcast had pointed out the massive changes from the previous iterations of Homeworld, as well as changes from the original trailer to the actual game. It also would appear that massive changes were made after Joyce got involved in Gearbox, so it definitely seems like she is one of the major people who tore this company and tore this game apart, which is just so sad to see, because I know so many people were very excited for Homeworld 3, and now you have to deal with this BS. You have to deal with either supporting these absolute losers, or you have to give up a game you were, at least in part, excited for. I mean, the whole game, I'm sure, is not completely trash. Unfortunately, though, when the narrative goes haywire, a lot of that immersion is also thrown out the window, and I know that's why so many people steer clear from these games. He said that the Homeworld 3 storyline is a big disappointment, with the hyperspace lore among other issues. In Homeworld 3, hyperspace now apparently have powers beyond transportation, and these lore violations conflict with gameplay. He also points out that whereas previous Homeworld video games were written and presented as a massive space opera, which was definitely true and a big reason why so many people loved Homeworld. Homeworld 3 now has a narrowly story focused on 3 main characters, the protagonists who possess a massive chin after the DEI upgrade since the original trailer, her intelligence officer Isaac, and the antagonist, the incarnate queen, who pops out of nowhere. So they definitely decided to make quite a few changes with this game, even from what we originally saw, and I know that over time things can be altered a little bit, character models can be slightly tweaked, but we are talking about like two completely different looking characters. And a lot of people are speculating that, maybe we have some self-inserts going on here. Either way, it is not sitting well with people because, of course, individuals are talking about it on the subreddit, and unfortunately they're getting banned. You also have on the Steam forums, the Homeworld 3 Community Hub, people also being banned simply for criticizing this interview and also criticizing the decision to hire narrative consultants for this game. And they're about to find out that people, again, are not willing to purchase games that have, narrative directors and narrative managers, whatever they want to call themselves now, narrative writers, who simply want to force DEI into products. It will be interesting to see if any statements are made, and maybe if they put the article back up after some of the backlash has died down. I highly doubt it, but at this point in time, Gearbox has deleted the Lynn Joyce interview. They have tried to hide it from the world, and they do not want people to talk about the narrative consultants that are affiliated with this game because they are silencing them across Reddits and the Steam community hubs. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.